Hi, good morning. Welcome to day 2 of our top 5 keto eating mistakes. If you missed us yesterday, you can go back down in our Facebook under videos and watch our day 1 and learn about our first mistake that we went over. And if you are joining us for the first time today, hi, welcome. My name is Emily Countryman. I am the owner of Ideal Wellness. We are a weight loss and wellness center located in Western Washington. We have 5, almost 6 locations going from South Linwood all the way to Bellingham, including one out on the peninsula in Paulsbo. And we have been doing this since 2011 with this weight loss method that we're going to talk a little bit more about. So again, if you want to learn more about that, hop back to yesterday's video. And you can also get the recording sent to you if you just want to watch them all in one straight shot. Go to idealwellness.com/register, and you can register for this free training that we're doing. We're going to be here Monday through Friday this week, so I'll be here the rest of the week doing a tip each day or a top mistake that we see people when they're trying to do keto on their own. So if you are doing the keto diet, you are in the right place, so welcome. So hop on over there, idealwellness.com/register, and we will make sure that you get all of the recordings of these videos. So today we are going to go over the mistake number 2 that people are making. If you have any questions, let me know. We've been getting a lot of questions emailed to us. So when you get the registration, you can just respond back to that and ask a question, or feel free to ask them in the comment section here. So I probably have a dozen or more questions that I need to answer. So we are probably going to extend this call or this video on Friday. And then I might pop in again next Monday to go over more of the Q&A because we have so many. But one that I've gotten a couple times was one from Sherry said, "What the heck is a macro? I don't understand it." And I think a lot of you feel just like Sherry. And then another one is from Chrissy, said, "How do I determine what my personal macros should be? I've always struggled with the thought of, am I doing this right? Am I calculating this right? How much of each one am I supposed to be consuming?" So I'm going to go over that a little bit today before I dive into the macros, because I think that's a common question that people have. We got that question a lot last time we did this series last month as well. I want to go over today's top mistake. So this is mistake number 2 that we see people making when they are doing a keto program, and that is the mistake of eating too much dietary fat. So a lot of people think, I eat a lot of fat, therefore I'm in ketosis. I think there's kind of a common misconception that to be in ketosis, you need to eat a lot of fat. So go back to yesterday's video if you have not watched it already, because we talk about what ketosis is and what it is not. So a lot of products out there are going to say keto friendly, and all that really means is that they're full of fat, low in carbs and sugars, and they have an adequate, sometimes low protein. It just kind of depends on the product and what they're saying is their keto definition, basically. So go back and watch that. Make sure you understand ketosis. Once you do, you'll understand that if you are trying to lose your body fat on a keto program, you don't necessarily want to be eating a diet high in dietary fat. That means, you're not going to want to eat all the bacon, all the butter, all the peanut butter, all the avocado, all the cheese, all of that. You'll see that a lot when people are doing a DIY or even a, dirty keto type program, is that they're eating a lot of fat. So that can be okay if you are in maintenance. If you are doing a maintenance ketogenic program, meaning you're not trying to lose any more fat, you're at your ideal body weight, you're where you want to be, and you just want to reap all the benefits of a keto program, such as the mental clarity, great energy. A lot of people kind of say it's like coming out of a fog. So you're feeling really clear-headed, feeling really good. A lot of people will stay in a maintenance keto program or eating dietary plan, and that just means that they're eating higher grams of fat every day than they are if they're trying to lose weight. So today we're going to talk about eating too much of that dietary fat. So it kind of brings us back to the macros a little bit, and I'll dive into that question at the end of this call. But when people are eating a high, so their macros, if they split it apart and they're doing like a keto program would typically be, say, 60, 70, 80% fat. If they're consuming that all by the calories versus using their stored body fat, so, their stomach, their rear, their hips, to burn fat for fuel, they're eating it, they're kind of bypassing that. So yes, they might feel good, feel like they're in ketosis, because their body would be in the state of ketosis, but they wouldn't necessarily be burning that body fat that they're trying to lose. So the next question is, how much fat is too much fat? I don't know for you. So this would be depending on the person. This is why the plan at our office, and we offer virtual coaching as well, is already predetermined for you. So you don't have to calculate all those macros. You don't have to struggle with, am I eating too much fat, too many carbs, too much protein, too little of any of those. The coach is there to help kind of tweak and adjust for you if you are, they're a little too high, a little too low, but we don't start clients off on a high fat keto program. So a lot of the clients come to us because they've done DIY keto on their own. This is probably, if you've done DIY keto, you've probably done it, felt really good, dropped 5, 10, 20, maybe even more pounds, then you hit a plateau. And that's because your body kind of leveled out and it said, you're bringing in this much fat every day, we're burning this much fat every day, and now we're stuck. We're at a plateau. So the best way to really shift that again is to cut the amount of fat you're eating. So I'm not saying fat is a bad thing at all. It really got a bad rap. Back in the 80s, it was kind of a fat versus sugar battle, and sugar won, which is why we then suddenly saw all these foods that are low cal, low fat. Fat is not a bad thing. It is fantastic, and fat does not make us fat. But if you are doing a ketogenic program and you're trying to burn your body fat, then too much fat will just prevent you from losing weight. A really great documentary that I would suggest everyone go watch, especially if you are home and burning through all that Netflix right now, trying to, stay in your quarantine and you're just looking for stuff to do. It's called Fed Up, and it's about the sugar industry and kind of how the fat and the sugar came to a head. And again, sugar won. And that's why all those low cal products, how do they make it taste good when they take out the fat? They load it up with sugar. Sugar and carbs make us fat. The wrong kind, right? Simple carbs. So anyways, back to the fat. One easy thing that you can do today, if you're doing a DIY keto program, is to decrease the amount of fat intake that you have. But this can be really tricky then to get the right amount of calories in, because you don't want to go too low, because then you're just not going to feel well. We really don't recommend a low calorie diet. But in order to get the right percentages of each thing, of the fat, the protein, and the carbs, it's going to be a little tricky doing completely whole foods. That's why the meals at our office that the clients take when they're on our program are perfectly proportioned to them. Kind of, we always say, the best bang for your buck, that you're going to get the right amount of fat. Our program is low fat during weight loss because, again, we want to burn your body fat, not the dietary fat. The right amount of protein, the right amount of carbohydrates, so that your body can get into that fat burn mode while having adequate calories, with obviously a little bit of a calorie deficit, so that you're losing fat every day, every week, but without going too low, so that you're getting all the right amount of things. So doing this with whole foods can be a little tricky. A lot of people will kind of substitute, if they need to cut that fat down and they don't want to go too low of calorie, with basically more protein. And then you might be getting a ton of protein, which you might not want to do. So that just depends on you, your goals, and what you're trying to get out of ketosis. So the one thing that you can do if you're trying keto on your own right now, and you've hit a plateau, you're not losing weight, you're getting really frustrated with it, is I would say, please don't give up on keto. You might want to lean more towards doing a nutritional keto type program. So if you're doing a DIY, or sometimes they call it dirty keto program, eating a lot of fat is number one. Start tracking it. So if you're already calculating your macros, you're already tracking everything, fantastic. look at how much fat you're eating now. If you've been tracking it the whole time, great. We have our clients do food journals, food diaries. We have an app they can track it on as well, because that is great. If we can go back and look, what were you doing 3 weeks ago when you were losing weight versus now? There might be a difference there. If there's not a difference, it just means that your body kind of leveled out and hit that plateau, and we've got to reduce that amount of dietary fat intake. So number one, start recording it. And then number two, compare. So look back, what were you doing before? What were you doing now? And if you can't see any difference there and you're hitting that plateau, then number three is to reduce the amount of fat. So again, if that puts you too low in calories, then you're going to need some sort of a supplemental food. So that's like what we do for our clients at our office. They eat 3 or 4 of our meals per day because they're perfectly proportioned to them so that they can get the right amount of all their macros. And none of our clients calculate their macros because we've already done it for them for the program. Makes life so much simpler. So it's a really easy to follow, easy to do program. But if you are doing it on your own, then that is definitely something I would start today. Go ahead and implement that right now. Cut out the amount of fat, take it a little bit lower. You can go in increments too, maybe reduce it by 10%, 20%, and just see how the next couple of days go. And then you can keep bringing it down a little bit from there. So I want to go into the macros because that was the question that we got. So I said, Sherry had said, what the heck is a macro? So I've been talking about that this whole time. A macro is a macronutrient, and everyone has 3 of them. You have everyone consumes 3 of them. It's carbohydrates, fat, and protein. Those are the 3 macros. Those are what we're all eating every day. Those are just the 3 major food groups, if you will. And that's when people talk about calculating their macros or eating a macro diet. It's basically saying what they're doing is instead of really watching from the calorie, like let's say they said, I'm eating 1,500 calories a day. That could be 1,500 calories of Oreos. That could be 1,500 calories of cheese. That could be 1,500 calories of celery, right? The calories are all there, but we want to actually look at what the macronutrients are within that, because of course we know 1,500 calories of celery or 1,500 calories of broccoli and chicken is much different than 1,500 calories of an Oreo. So when people say they eat a macro diet, they take those numbers and they say, okay, of this, my macro diet, which it falls in line a lot with a keto diet because people are changing their types of macros versus just simply cutting calories. That's a different type of diet. That's a hypocaloric diet. I think that's kind of old school now. I think we all know that it's not just about calories. I don't often hear people just saying, I'm doing a low calorie diet. So I think we've kind of dispelled all the myths on that type of just cutting calories, that doesn't work. So when people do their macro diet, it's usually in relation to a keto. Sometimes it's paleo, things like that. You might have heard the phrase, if it fits your macros. It's a little acronym like IIFYM, if it fits your macros. That means someone could say, oh, I still have, X numbers left in my day, so this cupcake fits it. So you could go by that theory. I personally don't think that's a great theory because then are you getting your micronutrients, which is all the nutrition, your vitamin levels, your electrolytes, all those things? Probably not out of a cupcake. So with the macros, what number is good for you depends on what your goals are. So if you're trying to burn fat in a nutritional or even a high fat ketogenic program, then you're probably going to have your macros set up with a high percentage of fat, probably like 70%, a little bit of carbs, maybe 10, 15%, and the rest of it protein. And so that's something that there's all these calculators online. People will figure out, okay, this is my macros, this is what I'm going to eat today, and figure it out from there. Again, we don't do that for our clients. We've already figured it out for you with our program. There's a lot of freedom within it. So we can say, here's what you're eating, but then you can decide, do you love, sweet foods, salty foods, savory foods, that type of thing. So it's not one size fits all in that sense. It's really designed for the person, but without all that crazy counting, because that can just drive people crazy. Like the other question I was reading from Chrissy earlier about, I'm confused when I calculate it. Am I eating too much? Am I eating too little? It can work for a while, but then it gets kind of kind of complicated and kind of convoluted. So hopefully that answers your question on what a macro is. And then as far as how much should you get, that if you're doing keto, probably do those percentages that I was saying, about 70% fat, give or take, maybe 20% protein, and then the rest carbs. And then you can dial them up and down a little bit from there. And when we say that percentage, you're taking, say, a calorie number. And so maybe you took 1,500 calories or whatever was going to fit for your body and broke it up into those percentages. And then you'd want to have, if it was 70% fat, I'm not good at math on the spot, but maybe that's 1,000 of those calories. So you'd say, okay, I need to eat 1,000 calories in fat today. And then you can just do the math beyond that to figure out how many grams. So there's 9 grams for fat, and then 4 for protein and carbs. So you divide that out and say, okay, that's 100 grams of fat I need in my day. X, Y, and Z. Again, I'm not good at math on the spot. So if you're trying to figure out your macros that way, go ahead and do that. But we always offer free consultations at our office. So if you want to give one of our coaches a call, please do that, because you do not have to be counting macros. Your diet life does not have to consist of that. We teach you how to eat to lose weight, and then what whole foods to continue to eat in maintenance so that you can actually maintain your weight, because that is a huge issue for us, is maintenance, and our clients do maintain their weight if they follow our whole foods eating plan into maintenance. So tomorrow I will be back here at the same time. I'm going to be going over tip number 3. So again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Looks like we have some comments here. I see Etilda. I don't know if I said your name right, but hi. Let me know where you guys are coming from. So we, like I said, have offices all over Western Washington, but we also offer virtual coaching. So we have clients throughout the United States. So if you're coming to us from somewhere else, let me know. I see Virginia said, hi, thanks for the info. Love the Smoky Point office. So she goes to one of our local offices. So stay tuned for tomorrow. I will be back at 9:30. I'm going to try and keep these videos about 15 to 20 minutes, and I will be back with tip number 3. Bye.